episode 16, driving to the gas station, trying to hold it together. I don't know if anyone cares, anyone knows how badly finances set me off. Like, I go into total panic mode. Right now, today is my 8-year-old's birthday, and I just left the house to go check my bank account to see if I have enough money to take him to do what he wants. I didn't buy him a birthday present because I knew I didn't have enough money for him doing an activity and getting a present. And now I've got to go get gas, and my check engine light is on, and big deal, right? But what happens to me is I go into total panic mode. I can't help it. My whole body shakes because this is a survival issue for me, and I can't help the way I react. And I got to put gas in the car, but I'll be back. I checked a grant status this morning. So I'm trying to get grant funding for the Leadership Institute that I've been accepted into. And I need that grant funding because I literally have nothing. And the scholarship form that they sent me asked about additional assets that might be tapped into. And I don't have anything. And I'm not, and I don't want to get upset about it because I know there's tons of people who have nothing. And I get that. But it really works on me that, this opportunity to go to the Leadership Institute is out of my reach because of finances. And I guess that's probably the way it is for other people. But anyway, I'm just going to keep talking. I will always undercut my feelings because I know that there's someone worse off out there. But fucking it's times like this that I'm reminded of everything else. It's not just, poor Molly, she was accepted in the Leadership Institute and she can't go because she doesn't have $7,000. That's just that's just what's happening today. And what happens is it triggers this cascade of feelings and memories of how I live a borrowed life. Honestly, I live a borrowed life. Yeah, I'm driving again. So what does a borrowed life mean? What do I mean by that? I mean, I literally have had to borrow so much just to stay alive. And when, things like this come up, it just reminds me of that. It's not as dire as, I need to borrow money to get food, or I need a ride to the 7-Eleven so I can get something to eat, or I need to steal food from the bagel shop in order to have some at home for dinner at night. All of that comes back, tenfold because I have children now that I need to take care of. And it generates all kinds of interesting feelings. So yeah, so many examples. I'll just start from the beginning. My family we were on the right path, I guess, family of 4. My dad owned his own business. He was an engineer. Mom stayed at home with us. And then Dad got sick and he had to get rid of his business, or sell it to his partner because he couldn't work anymore. And I was told a lot of things, but I was told that, he would tell my mom that through the VA, my brother and I would end up going to college for free. And, I don't even know how that was even a thing, but of course I believed it. I was a kid. Well, that wasn't the case. And when Dad died, he had $36,000 left at the Holyoke Soldiers Home. to pay for his stay. And that got split into 6 because he has 6 kids. And so $6,000 was, quick to go back when I was, I was 25. So there's that, and when I was a senior in high school, I lived in my own apartment and I had nothing. And my roommates would carry me and I felt awful, but it's the only way I had a roof over my head unless I moved back to Vermont, which I wasn't ready to do. When I started school or went to the community college and was hoping to get some scholarships or grants, and they said no because they count parental income until you're 24. And so I panicked and I joined the Army because I knew I couldn't pay for school. So I didn't want to have debt. It made me so uncomfortable to think that I was borrowing money, and that loomed over my head. So I joined the military. And then when I got married, the wedding, traditionally the wedding is paid for by the bride's parents, I guess. And someone in my family waved a $20 bill at my future in-laws and said, "This is all we have to pay for this." And they never really let me live that down, meaning the in-laws. They had money and they paid for the wedding. And I felt like I was bought and owned. And I don't know if that was the case or not, but that's how it felt. It's when you cannot take care of yourself, when you can't count on your family, and you have to reach out to other people. I appreciate it so much. It's the only reason why I have the apartment that I have now. And I appreciate it so much. But the feeling that it conjures up sometimes, not always, but sometimes, especially when I get into situations where I'm like, I'm going to have to ask someone else for help again. What the fuck am I ever going to be independent enough to be able to survive and take care of my children? And at this point, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And I'm not giving up. You can see it in my attitude every day and how I function. I have more hope than I probably should, honestly. And it's the hope that has kept me literally alive. And I know that that's my asset. So that's what I got. And so I'm sitting in my car at the park and ride, and I don't have enough money in the account to take Ian to where he wants to go. And I don't know. My paycheck is sitting up in my office, which I've got to drive 35 minutes one way to go get. And I can certainly go do that. And I'm going to have to in order to take him where he wants to go. And I'm going to do that because I can't let him, he's the third child and he's going to get totally shafted again. I need to be able to give him the birthday that he wants today. I'm not going to buy him a gift because, it's one or the other. But it's what I'm going to have to do. And then, for this leadership course, I get kind of bent out of shape because, the reason why, and I've had so many comments, I got a letter of commendation and comments at the Haka workshop and event that I pulled off. I don't know how, but I pulled off about my leadership skills, and they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. And I don't know how you do it, and you lead with grace. But what they don't know is, that comes from a place of lack of resources. And when you have a lack of resources, down to food, like I said, when I was a teenager and things were all over the place and crazy, and I won't go into it, but I would go see my friend at the gas station because I could steal food from there. And I worked at the bagel shop, and I could, throw a couple of things into a bag and hide it over the course of my shift and take that back to the apartment. And then, when I got married, things kind of started to even out because the in-laws were I've never experienced parents like that. My ex would get a parking ticket, up in Burlington, which is miles away from where his parents live, and his parents would pay it. And I would be so offended. I would be so offended by that, and I have to admit that it'll always be a triggering issue for me, the money thing. Because he, so into survival and being a survivalist and, not being able to function on $93,000 back when he made that in 2013. And even today, when we were starting to split up and again, it was over the money thing. His parents think that I'm after money, and I'm not. I can live off of $30,000, just barely. But what he did is he earned $61,000 at his job, but that wasn't enough. Cashed in his retirement and took that too. And so making $100,000 in 2017, whereas I made 30. And it wasn't enough. He couldn't live off that. So I'm sitting here with my income and, half of that retirement was supposed to go to me, I guess, but he liquidated it and it's gone. So there's nothing, and I'm used to nothing. And they can complain and assume that I'm out for money. But anyone who knows me, he knows it too, because he's told me that is not the case. If you've never had it, if you've never had, if you're not used to that lifestyle, you don't really know what you're missing. I just know that I can barely survive some days. And that's a problem for me. I don't need anything else. I don't need kayaks and bikes. Well, my son needs a bike, but I don't need camping equipment or survival gear or emergency food, silver bars, custom-made bagpipes. I don't need any of that stuff, nor do I desire it, because I can't have it. And I just want people to understand. This is fucking hard. So, borrowed life. I've lost my home. I've been in severe debt. I've experienced it all. And I'm glad. I'm really happy for that. I'm glad. Because I'm able to teach my children how to respect others and respect resources. And, but a birthday is a birthday. And I've got to go home and tell him that we're going to the arcade that he wants to go to.